Today, we're installing the electronics for the Jeep JT and JL Live Valve kit. Please take a moment to read the safety guidelines. First, start by disconnecting the vehicle's negative battery terminal. Remove both front wheels to gain access to your vehicle's wheel wells. Now, remove the fender liner from the front passenger side wheel well. Remove the 4 bolts fastening the auxiliary battery to the wheel well and disconnect the negative battery terminal. Now that the electrical system has been de-energized, let's move on to the vehicle's interior. Remove the driver's side seat headrest, then slide the seat all the way forward so that you can access the rear seat bolts. Remove the 2 rear seat bolts. Next, slide the seat backwards so that you can remove the 2 front seat bolts. Tip the seat back so that you can now access the harness. Disconnect the harness from the seat and remove the seat from the vehicle. Move the driver's side seat to your work surface so that you can begin mounting the ECU and IMU bracket. Align the bracket with the seat rails, identify the 3 mounting holes, and clamp the bracket in place. Drill the holes with a 1/4 inch drill bit. Install the bracket with the included hardware. Torque those bolts to 70 inch-pounds. Next, install the standoffs for the IMU and torque the standoffs to 70 inch-pounds. Loosely install the IMU with the connector facing rearward and the white cover pointing toward the cab floor. You'll torque these bolts once the driver's seat's reinstalled in the vehicle. Install the ECU on the bracket. You'll be installing the ECU ground ring terminals on the top left stud once the seat's back in the vehicle. Torque the other 3 bolts to 70 inch-pounds. Now let's get back to the cab. Pull back the carpet underneath the driver's seat and remove the OEM plug. Use a stepper bit to enlarge the existing hole up to 1 1/8 inch in diameter. Next, modify the supplied harness grommet. Cut the grommet in between the 2 ridges. You'll need to disassemble the fuse block so that it can pass through the grommet. Lay your harness out on the ground and start pulling through the grommet. Bundle RLC and RRC connectors and pull them through first. Next, pull the ignition fuse tap through, followed by the disassembled fuse block. The power and ground ring terminals are attached to the fuse block. Pull those through as well. Finally, pull the FLC and FRC connectors through the grommet. You'll want approximately 2 feet of harness inside the cab. Install the 8-pin dust cap on the main harness branch labeled Sensor. Now let's pass the harness through the cab floor. Start with the disassembled fuse block, then the rest of the connectors. Finally, install the grommet back in the floor. Now we need to tap into the Jeep's CAN harness using our adapter harness. Look for the 16-pin black connector underneath the driver's seat. Carefully identify pin number 13, the orange wire, on the 16-pin connector. Crimp the orange wire to the brown wire on the adapter harness. Next, identify pin number 14, the yellow wire, on the 16-pin connector. Crimp the white and brown wire on the adapter harness to the yellow wire. Finally, secure the adapter harness to the vehicle's harness with a zip tie. With the CAN integration complete, secure the adapter harness. Next, let's prepare the IMU harness for installation. Install the 4-pin dust cap into the touchpoint branch. Remove the driver door sill trim starting with the kick panel. Unbolt the door's check strap and finish removing the door sill trim. Next, pull back the carpet so you can route the excess harness under the door sill trim and into the kick panel. You're only using the IMU and CAN branch on the IMU harness. Once you've secured the IMU harness in the kick panel, begin reinstalling the door sill trim and check strap. Place the driver's seat in the vehicle and tip the seat back so that you gain access to the ECU and IMU bracket. Double check that you've got roughly 2 feet of harness under the seat to reach the connectors. Connect the main harness to the ECU first. You'll need to remove one of the nuts to swing the IMU out of the way and then remount the IMU to its standoffs. Remember, we talked about leaving the top left nut loose on the ECU. This is where you need to install the ECU's ground ring terminal. Torque all 3 nuts to 70 inch-pounds. Secure the harness to the bracket with a zip tie. Connect the IMU to the IMU harness and secure the slack with another zip tie. Next, let's plug in the vehicle's 16-pin connector that you T-tapped your adapter harness to. For clarity, we're connecting the 2 long harnesses together using the adapter harness as a bridge. Start with the CAN branch on your IMU harness and connect it to the CAN branch on your adapter harness. Next, locate the CAN branch on your main harness and connect it to the main branch on your adapter harness. Secure the harnesses so that they can't become pinched by the seat assembly. Next, tip the seat forward and bolt it back into place. Torque the bolts to manufacturer specifications. Let's transition to the underside of the vehicle. Secure the grommet and wiring harnesses with a zip tie. Use electrical tape to secure the branches running to either side of the vehicle. RLC and RRC go towards the vehicle's rear. Run the branches along the driver's side frame rail and secure with zip ties as you go. Once you've reached the driver rear wheel well, connect RLC to the shock. Secure the excess RLC harness to the chassis underneath the vehicle. Route RRC across the vehicle's crossmember towards the passenger side rear wheel well. Connect RRC to the shock and secure the harness's excess to the chassis. Now, let's route the remaining branches up the driver's side frame rail into the driver's side wheel well. Secure the harness branches as you go. Connect FLC to the front driver's side shock and secure the harness branch with zip ties. Pull the power, ignition, and FRC branches into the engine bay. Route the harness branches across the cowl and secure them with the supplied P-clamps. Next, route FLC into the front passenger side wheel well and connect it to the shock. Secure the FLC harness in the wheel well and zip tie extra harness near the battery in the engine bay. Connect both power ring terminals to the positive terminal of the battery and secure the harness afterwards. Open the fuse box and locate slot number F56. Remove the 10 amp micro 2 fuse from the slot. Place the 10 amp micro 2 fuse into the lower fuse tab slot on the ignition branch. Place the supplied 3 amp fuse into the upper fuse tab slot and install the ignition branch into slot F56. Once complete, you can replace the cover on the fuse box. Connect the ground ring terminal to the negative terminal on the battery. Reconnect the auxiliary battery's negative terminal and torque the battery trays bolts to the manufacturer's specifications. Reinstall the vehicle's front passenger side fender liner. Reconnect the main battery's ground terminal. Look inside the cab and decide where you might want to mount your mode selector. For this vehicle, we've chosen to mount the mode selector right of the climate controls. Once you've decided, mark the location and fasten the ball mount. Assemble the ball mount and mode selector. Now let's pair the mode selector to the live valve ECU. Please note that your mode selector might already be paired from the factory. If the mode selector's LEDs aren't white and orange, proceed with the pairing procedure. Power on your mode selector and hold the left paddle down and the right paddle up for 3 seconds. Make sure your motor's been off for more than 1 minute and your foot is off the brake pedal. Starting from the off position, press the start-stop button 11 times to enter pairing mode. Once the mode selector has been paired, the on-road icon will turn blue. Review the manual for additional details. The same pairing procedure must be followed to pair a smartphone to our mobile app. Scan the QR code to download our mobile app. Open the app and click Pair New and select your vehicle once it appears. Now that you've installed your new live valve kit, reinstall the wheels, torque your lugs to manufacturer specifications, and enjoy your ride.